what is the current state of the UFC? I mean, they've obviously landed broadcast deals over the last, 13, 14 years, and that's been great. And, that's like mainstream exposure that they're getting. But are we still talking about a niche sport here? Is this something that everybody could get behind? Like it could be as big as the NFL? I mean, again, I have my take on this, but I really wanted to get your take on that. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think there a few things need to change for it to become something a little bit bigger, and I don't see that happening. So I feel like we've kind of pigeonholed ourselves into, like you said, like it's a certain type of person that watches MMA. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and not all of them are bad, but I mean, if you look at someone like Sean Strickland and what Sean Strickland says every single day, multiple times a day on Twitter, and there's no repercussions whatsoever. And sometimes I think there should be, and sometimes I think there shouldn't be, depending on what it is that he's saying. But I think that is the biggest issue that's going to keep us from being mainstream, because you're going to have moms and dads who aren't going to want there's not going to be families sitting down to watch MMA together if somebody on like Sean Strickland is talking. I'm just not, I don't see that happening. So and I'm not saying Sean Strickland is the reason why this isn't mainstream, but it's people
Yeah,
like
I'm
him
pretty
who
sure
care about
Sean
that.
Strickland is a pretty prime example of why
Yeah, he's the
this
extreme.
sport is still has a bunch of question marks around it.
Yeah. And the thing is that when you see him say what he says and then the replies, and you see that there's so many fans that agree with him or at least pretend to agree with him, that's the other thing is like, if you are, let's say you're at work and you know this guy who's an absolute idiot and he watches MMA, you're gonna not want to watch MMA because that idiot watches it. So until we have people that are a little
You
bit
are who
more
you hang out with.
normal, yeah, more normal watching it and talking about it, it's a battle. There's potential. The sport itself, yes, but all that comes with it, no.
Wasn't Sean Strickland the one who used to be a skinhead?
Yes, I think so.
This
Yeah.
is,
I mean,
and
he
then
talks about wanting to murder people.
yeah, and then I think I don't know which fight it was. I think it might have been his last one where in the pre-fight interviews he's talking about like you're not a man and all this stuff and I'm just like, dude, like okay.
Yeah.
I think he said something political too, like he doesn't agree with the prime minister of Canada and whatever. I just, I see that's the kind of stuff that I see happen just not just every so often in MMA, but it seems like a lot in MMA to where it just like leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I don't know if you've experienced the same thing, but every time I see that kind of shit, I'm just like, what is this? What are we even doing?
Yeah, it's hard because I mean, I have some really close friends that I'm like, I would never want them to watch this and know that this is what I do all day long. I mean,
Oh
it's
damn.
crazy, you know? They just think it's like boxing. And I'm like, yeah, it's like boxing, you know? I
Well,
mean, boxing is just as bad, but no, maybe not just as bad, but it's pretty bad.
well, I
Um,
think I think they're both traveling circuses, like
yes.
the boxing and MMA. I was just talking to a friend of mine just today, in fact, about Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou, and I was like, we're talking about the UFC heavy or the former UFC heavyweight champion transitioning into boxing, and like this has happened, a few times over the last few years where the UFC's best, quote unquote, transition into boxing and what happens? They get absolutely dealt with. Like because they go from this spread out fight game to focusing on one thing that they're probably not all that great at. I know Ngannou is an incredible power puncher and he hits harder than a Mack truck,
Mhm.
but like the spacing in MMA and the spacing in boxing are two different things. The stances are different. The angles are different. The way you approach an opponent and play defense is different. So I see these MMA guys come on over into boxing, and I'm just like, stop,
Yeah.
stop. What are you like? You're embarrassing yourself. And I know that the almighty dollar runs everything, and I'm sure guys are getting paid like a lot to go do this thing, but you're not. doing anything that's impressive. I'm sorry. And Ngannou getting knocked out in the second round or whatever it was. I didn't watch the fight, if I'm being honest. I just saw the replays. But being knocked out in the second round doesn't strike me as somebody who almost had it. And he came within an inch of beating the heavyweight champ of boxing. Like it doesn't stand out like that to me.
It's crazy because you don't see it the other way around. You don't see boxers going into MMA because it's very clear to the boxers they have no business being in there. And I don't understand why MMA fighters think that they have business being in boxing. Like it's not the same.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna try it, I mean, there have been a few fighters that have transitioned over to boxing, but they're doing it at like a legitimate pace. They're not like fighting Anthony Joshua right away. They're
Yeah.
fighting at their same level and they're getting used to it because it's not just that everything is different, but it's like when you're in a fight, your reflexes are still going to be MMA reflexes because that's just what you've done so long. So
Yeah.
I don't know. This is going to sound bad because I actually kind of appreciate that. This is terrible timing to say this, but that Jake Paul like kind of took like a slower approach to boxing. Like he didn't immediately start boxing like Tyson Fury or you know what I mean? He's taking people that are easy, but he's also inexperienced. So it makes sense that he would take someone who's also inexperienced, if that makes sense. I know I'm gonna get reamed all over internet for this, but
That's okay. That's what the internet is for,
yeah.
from all of my thorough research that I've done. But speaking of Jake Paul, he's going to fight Mike Tyson.
Mm,
You excited?
no, no, scared.
Why
I'm
not?
scared. That's why I said this is
You're scared.
terribly wrong. I'm terrified for Mike Tyson.
Oh boy.
He's too old.
He's 57.
He's walking with a cane and being wheeled around in wheelchairs at airports because he can't walk through an airport. Sir, he has no business being in a boxing ring. I don't think that like Jake Paul's gonna like knock it. I mean, maybe he will. I don't know. But first they were saying there was reports that they were gonna wear headgear. Now they're not gonna wear headgear. And I'm like, I don't know if it's worse that they wear headgear or I don't know. I just don't think I don't want to do it. I don't want to see it. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch the hell out of it, but I don't want to. Like feel wrong.
It's like, you know what that fight is? What all these circus fights are
Mhm.
is the fiery car accident that you drive by when you're commuting to work or wherever. You can't help but slow down, look, watch. Hell, you might even consider pulling over, stopping, getting out, maybe pulling out some popcorn and saying, "Huh, what a shame. That's terrible." You're going to watch it. You're going to look at it. That's what these
That's what
fights
power
are.
slap is for me.
That's what power slap. Oh my God.
Yeah.
If that is not the most like ridiculous thing that I've seen come across, combat sports channels. Is that even broadcast or is it streamed on the internet? I don't even know.
It's streamed on Rumble, which
Rumble.
I hadn't heard about until, but whatever. I am like the number one fan. I'm a super fan of Power Slap. People think that I'm doing it because Dana White is paying me. He is not paying me. I wish he was. I'm not important enough. I love Power Slap. It is so much fun, and it's exactly it. You're describing a car crash. You want to see it. You can't look away. The I don't know, the slappers, the people are so much
Because they're not
fun.
fighters.
No, and I caught myself. I almost said it. They're so much fun in the lead up and afterwards, and like and you spoke about like the kind of the lower end echelon type people that watch MMA.
Yeah, the brightest of the bright.
Yeah, the slappers are very much lower than that, but they
Wow.
are so kind and thankful and grateful and polite. And I mean, it's like they're the best of the bunch when dealing like versus fighters and dealing with them. And I'm not saying all the fighters are bad, but the slappers are so much nicer when you're interacting with them and they're fun. I don't know, it's like a very lighthearted, everybody knows what they're doing. No one's taking it serious except for the people that think it's bad. They take it way too serious. It's just fun. Like it's refreshing. I get so excited every time there's a Power Slap event.
I'm not gonna lie. When I see somebody get the shit slapped out of them, there's a part of me that says, "Huh, would you look at that?" It's very much car accident on the side of the road pulling over type
Yeah,
stuff. I get
absolutely.
it.